Godzilla 1962 here, and today I want to talk about something special, an item that is historically important, a set that has made many movies available for the first time together, and in the original versions as well. It even brings a film for the longest time that was unseen to many. This collection is the Godzilla Criterion Collection. This collection has the original 15 Showa Godzilla films in one big book-like format. If you don't know, it's called the Showa era because these films were released when the Emperor of Japan was named Emperor Showa. Now this collection has a lot to get into, so let's start. The cover and back are beautiful pieces of art depicting Godzilla fighting his atomic breath, stomping through a city as he's attacked by the military, Godzilla walking in the destroyed remains of Japan, and Godzilla out at sea. When we open it up, we find ourselves with the art of Godzilla destroying Japan. After that, there's a nice index of everything in this collection. After that, we have 3 pages of a nice look back on Godzilla's history by historian Steve Ryfel. Then we get onto the primary section of this collection. Earlier I brought up how this is a book-like format. The whole collection has hard covers like a book, and all the pages within it, of course, remind you of a book, which brings us to the pages, which are all the same for the 15 films. A page on the left with details about the film, like runtime, aspect ratio, cast, and more, and has an extensive look at the film and its backstory. Meanwhile, on the right page, we have an art piece of the film. This format is used for all the movies in the collection, and each of the art pieces are done by different artists. A lot of this art is great and shows off the film accurately, but then you have pieces like Mothra vs. Godzilla that uses the wrong Godzilla design, or even Invasive Astro Monster with the wrong design of Rodan. And the designs for all the kaiju all around are very weird and Muppet-like. Now this isn't a hate on the artists, because they all did a great job. It's just some have flaws that are hard to overlook. I love this format and think it's perfect for something like Godzilla. After all, this is Criterion's 1000th release, and it has to be big, so why not go all out like they have. Now after all the art and descriptions of the films, we move on to a personal favorite page of mine. The credits, or at least the closest thing we have to credits in a book. The reason this is a personal favorite is because it goes over everyone who helped bring this together. My favorite part of the page is a look into how the transfers from the movies were brought together and where they are from. After the art on the next page, we move on to the discs. There are 8 discs with the movies, bonus features, and more. These discs and material they're on are made of a substance that isn't easily scratchable. So anyone who's worried about these discs easily being scratched, you don't have to worry about that. Though of course I'm not responsible for any possible damages your version may get. Now with all of that said, how are the discs and what's on them? Well, on disc 1, we have the original 1954 Godzilla. On the disc we have the film, a timeline of the movie where you can add or delete bookmarks so you can find where last left off of the film. And interestingly enough, this shows off 2 things, both the chapter of the film and the commentary as well. Then of course there's chapters and the commentary, and after that there's supplements, which are basically just special features. The special features include the American version of the film, the 1956 Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then there's the cast and crew, which has interviews with the main cast and crew of the film. Afterwards we have photographic effects, which is a featurette that reveals the visual tricks of Godzilla. Then there's Tado Sato, which is an interview with Sato that looks at Godzilla in terms of Japanese culture. Then The Unluckiest Dragon, which is an audio essay which looks at the real-life story of the Lucky Dragon number 5, which is something that inspired the original Godzilla. And now for the final supplement on the disc is the trailer for the film. After all that, the only thing left on the disc is the subtitles. Now to make it easy on everyone, when going over the discs, I'm going to simplify it. What I mean by this is that when a disc has everything I mentioned, I will go over those and save the supplements for last. So let's go on disc 2. Disc 2 features Godzilla Rage Again and King Kong vs. Godzilla. Godzilla Rage Again features a timeline, chapters, and subtitles. Meanwhile, King Kong vs. Godzilla features timeline, chapters, and a trailer. I must express how the version of King Kong vs. Godzilla on this disc is the 1963 version, which means the trailer is for the American version as well. Because for those curious, the 1963 version is the American version of King Kong vs. Godzilla, not the Japanese release. Don't worry though, the Japanese version is on a set, but we'll get to that later. On disc 3 we have Mothra vs. Godzilla, Ghidorah the Three-Eyed Monster, and Invasion of Astro Monster. All the films have the same content, timelines, chapters, and subtitles. This is all except for Invasion of Astro Monster, where it has an extra option, audio options. Here you can select to watch the film in English or Japanese. Now let's look at what's on disc 4, which includes Ever Horror of the Deep, Son of Godzilla, and Destroy All Monsters. All the films have a timeline, chapters, and subtitles and audio options, except for one. Ever Horror of the Deep does not include audio options, interestingly enough. We are almost done with the discs, so let's get on to disc 5. This includes All Monsters Attack and Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Both discs include timeline, chapters, and subtitles. Let's look at disc 6. So with this disc, we got Godzilla vs. Gigan and Godzilla vs. Megalon. Both films have timeline, chapters, and subtitles, but Godzilla vs. Megalon exclusively has audio options, which is weird. So what's on disc 7? The final disc to have some films on it. Well, we have both of the Mechagodzilla films, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla. Now let's finish this up. Both movies have the exact same features. These include timeline, chapters, audio options, and subtitles, with the audio options being for both English and Japanese. And we did it. We finished up all the discs with the films on them. And now we get to the final disc, Disc 8. And I promise I'll make this quick, but there's a lot on this disc. This disc is all just special features. Firstly, there's Hana and Bano. This is a 1990s interview where Ishiro Honda and Yasumitsu Bano talk to each other, which is amazing to watch, seeing who these people are. Honda is a director who made a lot of kaiju films, including 8 Godzilla movies, while although having a career, Bano only directed 1 Godzilla film. So to see these two talk together is amazing. As for the next special feature, there's handcrafted artistry. This is a program where filmmaker Alex Cox talks about his love for the Showa Godzilla films. Afterwards, we have Launching Jet Jaguar. This is a program that has Tsukutai Kamada talk about his time playing Jet Jaguar. The next featurette, Man of Many Faces, has us look at Ben Fiora, reminiscing about his time when he was in some Showa Godzilla films. Afterwards, this next featurette, Good Music is Always Simple, is an amazing addition. It's a program with Akira Ifukube. I call this amazing because Akira Ifukube is the most well-known Godzilla composer in the Godzilla franchise, and possibly all of kaiju media. And this VHS recording is possibly the last on-camera interview with Ifukube. After this amazing featurette, the next one is King Kong vs. Godzilla, Japanese release version. This is the Japanese release of King Kong vs. Godzilla that was not released in America for over 50 years. This is the first official release of the film here in the States, which for those who don't know is different to the American version by Universal that many like myself grew up with. Then we have Toho Unused Special Effects Complete Collection. This collection was released in 1986 on VHS in Japan exclusively, and features deleted scenes and unused effects for over 20 Toho films, from the course of 1954 to 1984. Then we have the final 2 special features included. Firstly, we got trailers. This includes trailers for all of the movies in this collection, but interestingly enough, one is missing. This being Godzilla Rage Again, but thankfully the trailer is available on the official American Godzilla YouTube channel. Then afterwards, the subtitles are the final thing on this disc. Though I should warn you that this collection does have some flaws. Some being, like I mentioned earlier, the art for the movies. Some of them are a bit iffy and don't represent the kaiju properly. The discs of some of the copies getting damaged, and the transfers of the films. But you can easily just take out the DVDs and put them in something else to protect them, like I will eventually. And I apologize if I mispronounced anyone's names. This collection brings together 15 films that define Godzilla as a character, and how we see him. From the serious tone of the 1954 of the warnings of atomic and nuclear weapons, to Godzilla being a father of a son fighting off a giant spider. These films do everything, and have defined Godzilla for many people. As for me, this is my definitive Godzilla. I grew up with the Showa era Godzilla and love it. Even watching some of the films again recently, they still hold up, and remind me why I love this series. From growing up playing with toys, watching other YouTube, enjoying my VHS copies, to now archiving Godzilla media and collecting rare memorabilia. Just like Godzilla, I have grown. And having this collection, the definitive collection of my favorite Godzilla era, that celebrates its history, is great. But in conclusion, I love this Showa era Godzilla Criterion Collection. It's fantastic, and I hope we get more like it. Here's hoping we get something like this for the Heisei Millennium era, because those would be great. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm here to say, long live the king. Gojo 1962, signing off.